who is the smartest cryptographer you've known? In terms of just raw ability and horizontal breadth, I'd say probably Dan Bonnet. He's an extremely bright guy, and he just understands everything. And there's an elegance and simplicity, but profoundness in the writing that Dan has that I think is extremely powerful. In terms of impact on the industry as a whole, or cryptography as a whole, I'd say Silvio Macaulay and Adi Shamir tie for that. I was actually on a panel with both of them. They invented like half the stuff that we use, and they still publish, and their minds are incredibly sharp. In terms of the best scientific administrator who is both capable of making great contributions and then at the same time is capable of leading scientists in a very humble, productive way, which actually I think is the hardest and highest art of science, is our chief scientist, Aglos. It is not easy to deal with other people's egos, and it's not easy to mold and sculpt young minds and have enough patience to allow them to grow into productive older minds. As you watch arrogant graduate students who think they're hot shit, you somehow have to make them proper academics and get them set up so that they can have real careers and care enough that the outcome is there. It's difficult to be a great researcher, a great administrator, a great educator, and also survive in university politics. And I haven't met anybody in my career who's better at that than Aglos is. And you can just see it. His former student, Bin Chang, for example, has now gone off and has his own academic career, but we collaborate with him, and he designed the entire Catalyst Treasury system. Another one of his former students, Dionysius Zindros, invented the foundations of sidechains for proof of work, the whole Nipa-Paus concept. Another one of his great students, Han Chang, is now floating around the American academic circles and has written a lot of great papers. So what's so cool is to see his students have become great in their own right. And it's so hard to do that as a great academic. We look, for example, to Einstein, and we say, oh, he's such a brilliant physicist. And of course he was one of the greatest in human history. But you look at the pedigree and you say, well, which one of his students has really gone on to do incredible things? And you compare and contrast that to other titans in the 20th century. And you realize that in that particular department wasn't as great as himself. And so I tend to judge the holism about all of that. And I think that Aglos has really achieved that balance. And actually, I think his work is going to, in the long term, be just as meaningful as Silvio and Adi Shamir's work, because in essence, he really did solve the proof of stake problem. And should this work out on an industrial scale, it's going to run an economy of billions of people. And he invited an interdisciplinary approach. The group has economists, it has game theorists, it has programming language experts. It's very uncommon to see that. Usually you have a narrow scope, a narrow silo, and you optimize with that in that to get academic brownie points. To invite interdisciplinary papers is an academic risk. And to be able to pull it off, it means you make far more meaningful research, which ultimately changes things.